obviously the individual panels I've shown on the finished item, but we'll need to mark a centre for the clock mechanism to come through and to provide the centre for the dial. These things have to look as if they are centred. It's probably the longest and the most important part of the job. It will look wrong if it's not done right. So this is a 10-inch by 12-inch canvas, as you can see. So the simplest way to find a good centre is to either mark 5 and then 5 inches here, halfway down the sides, 6 inches and 6 inches as it's a 10 by 12 canvas, and draw across. If you have a longer ruler, you could draw diagonals, and that will put your clock dead centre. However, I don't want my clock dead centre. I want my clock raised slightly. So I am going to imagine there is a 10-inch square, and I'm going to mark 10 inches. 10 inches. That gives me a line where I need my halfway point, and up here again I need to mark my halfway point, and then align your marks and draw a centre line. Five inches down the sides, and draw across. Now you may be wondering why I'm drawing all the way across the piece where I only need that cross, and I could have just done a little rough. Well, we need to construct where the dominoes will be going to form the numbers. Now I've made, for the original piece, a template. This is just constructed from a very cheap canvas board, which has got a nice thickness to it, but you could make this from thin MDF or thick cardboard. The distance from the centre to there is the distance I want the outside of the dial to be, and then working back from that point to the centre, I drew a centre line, a line across at the outer part I wanted the domino, then I drew a line parallel and lower down. Finally I cut out the shape of the domino and pierced for a centre pivot, and this will allow for when a pin goes through there, this can turn, and you can simply use the inner shape to draw through and then cut out the funky foam with a knife and allow the dominoes to be set in. This is a very important part of this project because it means that once that's on a pivot, the dominoes will be equally spaced at the same distance from the centre. That's very important visually. The other thing that's very important visually is that each domino is at 30 degrees. This is why I've drawn these long lines. That is 90 degrees one way, that is 90 degrees another when these centre lines mark up, and again once this is on the pivot. And that gives you the 4 main points of the compass, if you like. Now, many of us who are above a certain age did something called technical drawing in school, and this here is a very simple kids compass. If I place this in the centre and draw a little mark like this, I can construct the 30-degree angles that I need. There's my circle. Now the 30-degree line is approximately here. So there we go. We find where it crosses one of the cardinal lines, and you always keep your compass. That's why these with a little central screw wheel are fantastic, because it's locked in place until you adjust that wheel. And then you place the compass on that crossing point and you mark back. These 2 points, as a line taken through the centre, form 30-degree angles. So once again, come out, come out, and come out again. You can go back to centre if you haven't just extended the line far enough, as I just didn't. Right, back to it. So you extend your circle outwards, then draw an arc around each cardinal point, where the cardinal point crosses that second radius. Mark with the compass. And this is why sometimes the old-fashioned ways are good to know, because it would be difficult to make a printout from a computer that would allow you to set out where each domino goes. You need the construction lines to help you align the template. Now, in theory, and if we're right, each crossing point should form a line through 3 points, the centre and the 2 opposite sides, and that's like a nice little check that you've got it right. Now I'm drawing with a pencil, but a black marker is fine if you've got a fine tip. The pencil will leave a little indentation in the funky foam, the marker won't. However, you might want the effect, and I do, of just a slightly distressed, as if there was scribing lines and wear and tear on the panels. So here we go, another, and last one. That last one looks a little bit off centre to me. Have I made a slight error? I think move the whole ruler over. And I'm not happy with that. I'm just going to check the working out. That is the better place there. And the better place is there. So something has gone a little bit awry. And it is important to get it right, because the human eye is very good at picking up anything that isn't quite even. I think part of the problem is I'm not holding the pencil up straight. So there we go. Now I'm going to drill a little hole through the centre here. I've just got a simple drill bit. These are ones that supplies for the hex head. I don't normally use these because you have to buy ones with a hex head, which are more expensive when you've got a normal chuck in a drill. However, it does give you somewhere to grip very nicely, form a centre hole. Take your time, get it in the right place. There's no need to particularly force it. You can just feel it coming through on the back now, and now I have my centre hole. So here's my template, and here is what I've been using as a centre pin. That pops through, you line the centre lines up all the way around. It'll keep a constant distance as a circle all the way around, and will look visually pleasing. And I'll do all that drawing off camera and come back to you in a little while. All the cutouts for the dominoes are completed now, so it'll be time to add these small stones that have adhesive backs to act as rivets. When I fit them, I like to start in the corners and give a small millimetre gap. As this is a fantasy piece, there's no real engineering need, however it has to look believable to an extent. So I pair the rivets up across the width of the gaps to look like there is a join there, and then as I go along longer sections I space them out equally at about ½ an inch or a centimetre or so gap, working away from these corners. It's just a matter of what you think looks right. Doesn't have to be these little stones. You can use anything you can find of about the right size. You could use blobs of hot melt glue if you thought that was good enough, or you could use a hole punch and take the scraps of your foam and punch out small discs. Now you can either use a grip type, like a pair of pliers, or you can use the more robust leather punch that look like these. They have a sharpened hole in the end, a little area for you to pop out the bits, and you simply push them in and pop out little sections. And if, like many people, you have very little money but you have some time, that's a great way of making rivets. If you have less time and more money, you could buy these little stones ready made. Well, as you can see, I've started the undercoating process. I'm simply using black acrylic paint, watered down with 2 to 3 parts water to 1 part paint. I like to keep it slightly on the runny side and do 2 coats well, rather than try and get 1 thick coat on and expect it to dry without leaving big blobs in corners or streaks and whatnot. It's just a little bit easier to do it this way, even if it's a little bit more time consuming. If it wasn't quite so windy outside than today, I would quite happily use a black spray paint. If it's a matte or semi-matte paint, you can pick up for about £1 in a pound shop, and it will do the job perfectly and an awful lot quicker, although it does stink a little bit with the chemicals. This goes on nice and easy because it's been watered down. Even where it pools, it will dry back and not impede. If it does leave a blob, highly unlikely, but even then it's the sort of thing that you can pick away with a small scalpel or a sharp tool. However, I'm not expecting anything to get in the way when these dominoes are fitted in. The foam is compressible, so even if there is a slight imperfection, the domino being solid will just push it out of the way and it will compress into the body of the foam. As you can see with it drying now, you can still see some of the red through. So as I said earlier, 1, maybe 2 more coats. Quick dry using a heat gun or leaving it overnight, and it will all be fine. Here on the corner, it's starting to lift slightly. I could either glue that back down, I don't know if you can see that one, or leave it. I'm going to leave it. It's as if the metal is peeling back. I used a heat gun to help speed the drying process of the PVA glue, and just gently warmed the whole surface, and then applied some pressure. While the pressure was on, that's lifted up, and that's fine. It all adds to the careworn and used recycled look. Steampunk comes in many flavours, from high Victoriana down to the tinkerer and the street urchin, who are just making the best of what they can. And the individual looks and styles reflect that. I'm going to pop the heat gun on this, give it a couple more coats, and then I'll be ready for my gold.